Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at a recent but underappreciated era for gaming and picking out the toughest in the jump scare genre. These are the 10 hardest horror games of the 2010s. Let's go. Before we continue, we publish content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of our latest videos. PT.
As the congressional debate over gun control flares up yet again, we regret to report the murder of a wife and her 2 children by their husband and father.
We're starting off with PT at number 10, not because it's less hard than some of the other entries, but because it's just a demo. This teaser for the unreleased Silent Hills doesn't just aim to unsettle you, it actively fights back. Kojima designed it with the expectation that players would be trapped in its looping nightmare for at least a week before figuring out how to beat it. But people have been studying Kojima for years, and those people managed to crack its obscure set of requirements in only a few hours. The clues are buried, disguised, sometimes bordering on cruel, but they don't always follow normal video game logic. They include things like staring at particular objects for 60 seconds with no prompt to even consider that. It also includes plugging in a microphone and saying things that are also not prompted in the game. It also includes walking a particular amount of steps at a particular time in a particular location, and if I may remind you, zero indication or prompts that this needs to happen. Progress often depends on intuition, experimentation, and a willingness to try things no game has trained you to attempt.
After killing his family, the father hung himself with a garden hose they had in the garage.
Cry of Fear. What started life as a Half-Life 2 mod didn't stay small for long, because Cry of Fear quickly clawed its way into full standalone status just a year later, launching on Steam for free, which honestly feels like robbery considering how much game you get. I accidentally stumbled upon it back in 2014, and with a little LAN fumbling, my buddy and I entered one of the most surprisingly challenging horror games we'd ever experienced. You step into the shoes of Simon Henriksen, and whether it's trauma, delusion, or something far worse, Simon begins seeing grotesque creatures and reality-warping visions that stalk him through empty streets. Think Silent Hill, but also think I don't remember Silent Hill being so goddamn hard. The real terror isn't just what's hunting you, it's how little you have to fight back. Ammo is scarce, healing is scarcer, and survival horror veterans used to rationing in Resident Evil will still feel underprepared. Alien Isolation. Horror games based on Alien have existed for years, but Alien Isolation is the one that finally nailed what makes that universe terrifying. And to be honest, it shouldn't have taken decades to get it right. Instead of turning the xenomorph into a shootable obstacle, the game traps you in tight corridors and forces you to rely on stealth and patience. And nothing in this game is better than the creature's AI. The xenomorph doesn't just patrol, it adapts, it learns, and it searches. It feels less like a scripted enemy and more like a predator thinking in real time, which is deeply unsettling. Where something like Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 intimidates through persistence, this thing terrifies through intelligence, like the opposite of me. The Evil Within Akuma mode. The Evil Within might not have single-handedly revived survival horror, but it was a nice return to form we'd been missing for a few years. On the surface, its difficulty feels comparable to classic Resident Evils, but we're looking at a very specific mode, the Akuma mode. This difficulty setting doesn't just raise the stakes, it detonates them. One hit, that's it. Lights out, back to the very beginning. No checkpoints, no mercy, no almost had it. You're expected to clear the entire game flawlessly, dodging every trap, every projectile, every ambush, like you've got clairvoyance installed. It transforms the experience from survival horror into survival perfection. Sure, it feels like cheating to include a specific hard difficulty on this list when you could do that with any game, but this mode made such a buzz online, it'd feel rude not to mention it.
Is that it?
Darkest Dungeon. Darkest Dungeon isn't your typical heroic power fantasy, it's a management sim disguised as a nightmare. You don't just control adventurers, you oversee them, patch them up, send them back out, and sometimes watch them crumble away. Each expedition throws your party against shuffled horrors straight out of cosmic dread, and death isn't a rare setback, it's part of the system. Heroes will fall, replacements will arrive, and the survivors, they're usually hanging by a thread, saved by dumb luck. What makes it shine is how brutal yet fair it actually feels. The mechanics run deep, letting smart players manipulate odds, build synergies, and plan around chaos. Losses still sting, but they teach. Victories feel earned, not handed out. It's basically a Souls game, but tactical.
Diminished.
Visage. Okay, technically the full release of Visage came out in 2020, but with 2 of the 4 chapters being released in 2018, the game had sunk its hooks into people well before we got to the end of the 2010s. Heavily channeling the dread-soaked DNA of Silent Hill's PT, the game traps you inside what looks like a normal suburban house. Except nothing inside the house stays normal for long. You play as Dwayne Anderson, a man slowly unraveling as he wanders the halls, dodging hostile spirits and piecing together a story that reveals the haunted history of his home. Combat isn't an option. Survival depends plainly on avoidance. The real pressure comes from the design itself. Objectives are super vague, guidance is super scarce, and the game rarely tells you where to go. That uncertainty turns exploration into a risk. Every wrong turn might waste time, or worse, walk you straight into something waiting in the dark. Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
Alexander, is it inside the castle?
In a manner of speaking.
Amnesia: The Dark Descent thrives on one brutal design choice. It makes you helpless. It's often credited as the horror game that brought the genre out of its action phase and back to survival. No weapons, no heroic last stands, no dramatic counterattacks. If something finds you, your only real options are sprinting or hiding and hoping your sanity holds. That stripped down vulnerability is exactly what made the game stand out, and at the time, exactly what made it really tricky. People forget that the game was credited with being quite difficult back in 2010 because it was a gameplay style that we simply just weren't used to. It harkened back to the 90s, to resource management, to survival horror, to puzzles, but with a modern first-person look and a gothic vibe that stood the test of time.
Much of the castle is old and hasn't been tended to for centuries. When the shadow arrives, it won't take long until things start falling apart.
Welcome to the game 2.
Help me!
Diving into the dark corners of the internet sounds risky enough. Trust me, buying gummies in Australia is as scary as visiting an adult website on your dad's laptop. But this game turns that idea into a full-blown nightmare scenario. You step into a digital hunt for missing reporter Amelia Lewis, who's been abducted by a masked duo called Noir, and the only way to track her is by navigating the deep web yourself. That means hunting for access codes, slipping into the right chat rooms, and constantly watching your back. It's not just hackers you need to worry about either. Threats like Noir, Lucas, The Breather, and even law enforcement can catch you if you slip up. Stealth and awareness aren't optional, they're just survival tools. The harshest twist is that failure isn't a slap on the wrist. If you get caught, you're done. Straight back to the beginning. And detection is super easy. One mistake, one wrong move, and it's back to step 1 for you, Buster. Pathologic 2. Most people discover Pathologic 2 the same way, through whispers from its fiercely loyal cult following rather than flashy marketing. That reputation exists for a reason. This isn't just a strange horror game, it's a brutal one. You're dropped into a diseased open world with almost no guidance and a single directive: survive. No tutorials, no glowing markers, no comforting instructions telling you where to go next. The game expects you to learn by struggling, experimenting, and sometimes failing spectacularly. Hunger, exhaustion, infection, time pressure, it all stacks against you while the story unfolds, whether you're ready or not. It doesn't pause for you to catch up, and that refusal to help is exactly what makes it so goddamn intense. Every discovery feels earned because you had to earn it. Bloodborne.
All signed and sealed. Now, let's begin the transfusion.
Of course this would be number one, it just makes sense. From Software didn't earn its reputation for mercy, it earned it for punishment, and Bloodborne might be its harshest exam. Every Souls title tests your patience, but this one feels especially relentless. Healing in Bloodborne is super limited, enemies swarm, and the pace is faster than any of the other Souls games, meaning hesitation is basically an invitation to die. Most bosses don't chip away at your health, they just erase it straight up. One sloppy dodge, one mistimed swing, and you're staring at the reload screen wondering where it all went wrong. The pressure never really lifts either. Streets crawl with threats, shortcuts feel like lifelines, and even victory comes with lingering dread. What sets it apart is how the difficulty feeds directly into its horror tone. The danger isn't just mechanical, it's a part of the atmosphere. And that's why I'm giving it the praise it deserves. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos.